Hey, sweet friend, we are in the Christmas season. Therefore, we must talk about gratitude and grief and the reality of that in the holiday season and how much special needs parents feel that so deeply, especially this time of year. So, if you are new around here, my name is Heather Sweetman. I am so glad you are here. I am a mama of 4. I am here on YouTube to make videos that I was looking for in the beginning of our special needs journey. Our youngest kiddo, who is now 10, was born with quadriplegic spastic cerebral palsy. She is in a wheelchair full time. She is in therapy about 6 or 7 hours a week. And so I spend some of the time that she is at therapy, I spend making content, hoping that I may be able to help or comfort or let someone be seen that was in my shoes 10 years ago. So I am so glad you are here. Whether you're a parent with a special needs kid or a parent of any child or just a human, I am glad you are here. And I do always like to preface my videos with the fact that my videos are unedited. This is just me in my car, most of the time driving around from errand to errand as Finley is doing her therapy. So you get what you get. But depending on when you watch this video, we are in between Thanksgiving and Christmas. We just came home from seeing my parents in St. Louis, Missouri. We spent Thanksgiving with them. We have family there. We got to see cousins and aunts and uncles, and it was a really, really beautiful time, and I am really grateful for it. It was also a very emotional, sad time as well. And if you are a special needs parent, I would imagine that you, around the holidays, maybe you don't around the holidays, but I would say for me, around the holidays is when I really struggle with some grief. And I always like to, when I'm talking about grief, about special needs, something that was really hard for me to get my mind around when I was first starting out on this journey is I felt so guilty for the sadness that I had around my daughter's diagnosis. I adore and love my daughter, and so I was very conflicted. I can still be conflicted, right? Guilt is a very strong force. And even over Thanksgiving, I was dealing with some guilt. There are some tools I've learned along the way that, I would say I am learning. There are things that I can pull out that I want to share with you. But one really helpful thing that a dear friend of mine said in the very beginning of my journey, our special needs journey, is you can grieve the child you thought you were going to have without betraying the child that you adore. And those words were so life-giving to me because I was sad every day, so sad. I mean, to be honest, I was depressed and had so much grief and was learning how to grieve when nothing was seemingly going to change, right? So I feel like there are lots of opportunities, or more obvious opportunities, to grieve well when something is final. It's a death. Death is really the biggest one I can think of in this moment. I didn't take notes, but fill in the blank. When something has an end, right? It could be all sorts of things, I'm sure, but they're not coming to mind. When something is unknown, when the prognosis isn't clear how it's going to work out, how it's going to affect the rest of your life. It's just this giant nebulous of what is my life going to look like? What is my child's life going to look like? What is my family's life going to be like? And it is sorry, I got the sniffles, so I don't know how much you can hear that. I'm sniffing away. But there is just there's this real grief that can come with any kind of diagnosis, and it can be difficult to wade through. Grief is unpredictable. Grief comes when it wants to come. And there is just so much guilt associated with it because we don't want to make anyone feel bad or make anyone feel less than, because they're not, and we love them. But there is this reality of my life will never be the same, most likely. And depending on the diagnosis, it could get way better. In our situation, things have slowly become more and more difficult, which I had a very kind preschool teacher say to me, and this sounds cruel, but I actually really appreciated it, because I feel like no one will give you a straight answer. And I was crying about something with Finley, and she's just an amazing teacher. If you have amazing teachers in your life, please give them a hug or say thank you. It is amazing. Teachers change lives. And this lady, I mean, she was such a huge part of our early days with Finley. She had Finley from age 3 to 5, and just so many resources, so much encouragement. But I was struggling with something, and she was talking to me, and she just put her hands on my shoulders, and she just said, Heather, I don't want to be discouraging, but I want you to know that this truly does not get easier. It only gets harder. And I was like, thank you, Kendall. Thank you for your honesty, because I feel like, therapists won't give you a straight answer. Doctors can't give you a straight answer because of the potential of them getting sued if it doesn't turn out the way they said it would. And just the reality that our daughter just does not have hardly any mobility. She so desperately wants to talk and has a few words and has a talker, but doesn't really like to use her talker because she likes to use her voice. It's like, okay, sometimes you need to be told it's going to get harder in order for, it's like you have to grieve that, right? Sorry, I have notifications coming up on my phone. Apparently I didn't turn it on Do Not Disturb. Whoopsies. What am I talking about? So I think those two things, just somebody saying, hey, this is going to be hard. It helped me come to terms with, okay, because I think when you live in this, like, maybe it will get better, maybe it will, I think in the first few years, I was just living with this, like, if I do all these things, then my daughter will sit up, she'll walk, she'll whatever. And I'm not saying don't do those things. Those things are important, and some kids will thrive in those things, but not every kid does. And I have a kiddo who, as of yet, has not. And she has made some great strides. She can hold a cup. She can drink out of a straw. She can take a spoon from my hand and put it in her mouth. She is a complete delight. She's hilarious. She's got big emotions. So when she's happy, it is amazing. And when she's sad, it is really hard. Or when she's mad, it's really, really hard. So, and for me, I don't know if you're like this, but for me, all of those feelings, for whatever reason, just weigh me down so much on the holidays. And I think holidays and birthdays, her birthday specifically, are these reminders. We have 3 older children, and so I know what they were doing at the ages that Finley is reaching. And there's very vivid memories of kids running down the stairs to open Christmas presents, and Finley has never done that. And oftentimes we've had to make the hard decision as a family to let her sleep on Christmas morning. She likes to sleep in, and we've tried to wake her up when everybody else is up. We have done different things now that the kids are older. We have opened presents later, but we've had to make really hard decisions on, okay, what is good and healthy for our entire family, and what is actually going to serve Finley well. So she has a really hard time waiting for other people to open their presents. And she's getting better as she gets older, but that's just, transitions are really, really hard. So if she has a bunch of presents in front of her, or even one present in front of her, she wants to open it right then. And then if she has to be like, okay, now I have to wait for 6 other people to take a turn opening their present, that transition is really hard. And she spends so much of her life waiting. I always say that she is the most patient person, because she has so many things she wants to do, and she's always waiting for somebody to help her do those things. And so we've had to make those hard calls, which grieves my heart as a mom. Like, I want our whole family to be together. I want us all to be opening presents together, all to be sitting down, enjoying a meal together. And something we decided really early on, probably when Finley was like 4 or 5, is that we needed to have separate family time, separate family dinner. Because when Finley was at the dinner table, she'd just scream and scream and scream. And it just took away from very special time as a family. And so and guys, I'm talking about this, but these are things I have cried and cried and cried over. So we had to make the tough decision years ago to say, okay, we're going to feed Finley, and we're going to spend time with her, and then we're going to eat with our older kids. And we're going to let Finley watch a show when we're having time with our older kids. Because when you have someone in your family that has special needs, they obviously need a lot more care. They need a lot more help. And that needs to be given to them. It needs to be done well when possible. Sometimes you only have 50% to give, and that's great on that day. But the other relationships in your family are so vitally important. I feel like oftentimes you hear of families splitting up and different things, and I think I have a lot of compassion towards that, because a special needs person has so many needs, and as a parent, you want to give that to them. And so the other people, your spouse, your other kids, can be neglected. And so we've done dinners without Finley for years now. We've had to do vacations without Finley. And so I think, and those times are hard. Like, they're good and precious, and they're important because we're building with our other children. But they're also a reminder that there's something very broken in our family, and it keeps us from being all together. And I want to say that with grace and compassion, I do not mean that a person with special needs is broken. I fully believe that they are created in the image of God and created perfectly and beautifully. But disability, cancer, death, all the things we deal with are the result of a broken and fallen world. These things will not exist in heaven. And so there's a grief over the brokenness of our world that hits hard, even harder at the holidays, when you're supposed to be all together with your family. You shouldn't have one child watching a TV show while the rest enjoy a meal together. But that is where we're at. And so I share these things because I want to give you permission to think outside of the box. Finley's physical therapist, she's, I think, in her 60s. She has this gorgeous white hair. And so, I don't know, like, I think you're in your 60s, but you have white hair. So that might be why I think you're in your 60s. So forgive me if you're a young person with white hair. I think white hair is gorgeous. Her white hair is beautiful. I hope to have beautiful gray or white hair someday, because you never know how it's going to come in, right? So far, I've had a few little gray hairs, total bunny trail here, a few little gray hairs that are like very kinky coming in. So I'm like, I don't know what my texture is going to do, but we'll see. But I share all that to give you permission to think outside of the box. Oh, Finley's physical therapist years ago, maybe 5 years ago, she found out that my parents were taking Finley for the week, and we were going to do some kind of a staycation with our older 3. And she just said, Heather, I just want you to know, I'm so glad you're doing this. She's like, so many families do not do this. And when they could, like obviously some people don't have that kind of family support. But if you do have it, I just want to give you permission to think outside of the box and to cry all of the tears that you need to cry over your family situation not being what you thought it was going to be, and then being able to embrace what you do have. I think so often we're like, oh, we can't do this or we can't do that because we have a kid with special needs. I mean, one for us is sledding. We have probably gone sledding twice in the last 10 years because taking Finley, although she would love it, taking Finley sledding would break all of our backs. And that's something that I haven't figured out how to do yet. Our kids are older now, so they're getting to the point where they can go by themselves. But it's something where you know, the things you imagine, we're going to do this as a family. We're going to do that as a family. And so every one of those expectations that you've had your family doing together, enter holidays and how they should look, it's like you have to grieve each one of those things. And so as we head towards Christmas, or whenever you're watching this, I just want to give you permission to rearrange how the holidays might look for you. How you can both be honest and grieve what needs to be grieved, and also be grateful for what you do have, the beautiful life that you have been given. And I don't say that lightly. I think when you are in caregiving, especially when you're in burnout, I think the holidays can burn all of us out if we aren't careful, right? And then you add special needs to the top of that. And I think if you're a special needs parent, you know that there's just a million things to do every single day. And then you put Thanksgiving or Christmas on top of that, or whatever holiday it is that you celebrate. And it's like, okay, now I have more to do. And then you feel like you just can't keep up. And the holiday you dreamed of giving your family, you aren't able to give, and not even be able to meet that halfway. I mean, my kids are constantly reminding me of the traditions that we need to do. Like, Mama, we've got to do this. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just can't keep all of it in my brain. So I think that's all I want to say about that. Yeah, you have permission to rethink what your holidays look like. If you don't have the energy for that, ask. And if you have a spouse who is good at ideas, if you have a friend who's good at creative thinking, if you have, a physical therapist, an occupational therapist, you can reach out to them and get their ideas. So anyway, guys, I'm trying to reach 100 subscribers by the end of December. I think I'm at 76. So if you wouldn't mind sharing this, that would be amazing. I just had an alarm go off, so I'll have to figure out how to splice these together. I'm trying to reach 100 subscribers by the end of December. I'm at 76. It's very exciting. But what really helps to boost YouTube videos is sharing it. If you want to share it on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and also subscribing, liking, and commenting, all of those things. If you could do one of those things or all of those things, that would be amazing. It helps boost the channel to other people. It helps other special needs parents find this content. So that would be amazing. I hope and pray you have a blessed Christmas season, and that you know and experience the love of Jesus in a deep and profound way. Bless you. Talk to you next time.